We talk about different generations of Nepalis or over time and so on. But, one thing you talked about is that mixed one, the bits of generation, people like us that always have this thing, right? And I always joke with my friends that this is the new midlife crisis, and I've sort of talked about it a little bit. I know where even the generation back, but a lot of us, struggle with this decision whether they should be in Nepal, especially. I think yeah, for the alikati settled, right? Once the people are alikati successful, they always have this push. I know, aging family, all of it. There's this all of it, and so yeah, if you were to just give somebody advice in terms of that, um, what would that be? Somebody's maybe that sort of generation, middle generation, so that is struggling with that decision. And I would love your context of how you've seen Nepal changes and US go and both go mobile. If somebody comes to you and says, Ambika ji, I'm thinking about going back to Nepal, what is your advice?
Well, it's a difficult thing to offer advice for people on what to do with their life. But still, we can entertain that question and see some hypothetical scenarios.
And
People have to definitely craft and carve out their own trajectory, their own journey, their own interest. And obviously, you got to do what you like uh, because there's democracy in Nepal, there's democracy here. So it's your life, and there's no feeling of guilt, although there's sometimes some of us feel a little guilty of having left Nepal and not contributed, but that's a personal thing. But there's no reason to feel like that. It's okay. It's your life. You do what you want to do. People have moved around, and to simplify it, people have moved around not only among countries but inside the country itself. So from my village, I moved to a town, then eventually to Kathmandu. There was also, I've got some obligation to the village also, eventually, right? So first of all, movement is pretty normal. This is our evolutionary process. We go where there's life is better, there's a better quality for your kids. And then also in terms of your own education, when you can really utilize it to the max. So that's number one. Number two is obviously there's some little love or connection with Nepal. And it's not only for Nepal, for any country. You talk to people from even people from places like Japan or Korea, even more developed countries, they would have the same kind of provincial connectivity to where they're from, right? And even if they come from a poorer country, it's still the same thing. Even if you go to India, which is like 80% similar culture, you connect with the Nepalese and the Nepalese will feel more comfortable with kind of the Nepali talking. So it's only natural phenomenon. The evolution of human beings is somewhat tribal. We are always kind of tribal, but in terms of that's fine anthropologically, but obviously we got to go beyond that when we live in a society and become a little more secular and accept everyone and also be open-minded. That's a civilizational thing. But in terms of intuition, in terms of our evolution, in terms of our genes, uh, all animals are kind of tribal, and so are human beings. Before the agricultural revolution, obviously, it used to be a very small tribe of 150, 200 people banding together and doing the hunting and gathering. And then when people settled, maybe about 11,000 years ago, it's the agriculture permanently home. Obviously, people didn't have an opportunity to travel to vast distances. They will settle. So for like 8 generations, my family came from Makwanpur. Prior to that in Jumla, prior to that in Kar Valley also, hundreds of generations in Nepal. But the last 9 generation was in Bhojpur. We were just in 1 or 2 villages, right? And then so that's how we knew each other. The marriages used to be within the walking distance, at the most a couple hours. So this is how people kind of manage their life. Otherwise, it was too difficult. It was not like today where there's a global connectivity through Facebook and all that. So all of that comes into our kind of genes, and it's perfectly okay to be connected to Nepal. And even if you live here, listen to Narayan Gopal's song or enjoy Gundruk and path sometimes. That's what we are. Initially, the kind of taste that gets developed in your taste bud remains throughout your life, because majority of your personality and many things are basically formed within the first 5 years of your life, that the scientists say. So we are where we started from there, and then we nurture ourselves and we learn and then we move along. So the not really an advice, do what you want to do, try to do the best for yourself. But if you want to do something in Nepal, first of all, be in a strong position yourself, stand on your own feet, right? Have a job or have a good credential, even if you want to go back to Nepal, that you can really utilize that. Just don't be kind of half-baked, midstream, and then say, I want to go to Nepal and do something. There are a lot of smart people in Nepal. Education is pretty amazing in Nepal. 22 medical colleges, 12 universities, 60 engineering colleges, hundreds, tens of thousands of PhDs and medicals and all of that. So sometimes people kind of assume from here that even if they get a master's degree from somewhere in Canada or Australia or US, they say, oh, now I can tell what to do. To the Nepalese people, no, don't be carried away with that kind of thing. So prepare yourself, and if you think you can contribute something, then find out a way to either do it from here, or if you really want to make your feet wait and go to Nepal, all the power to you.
No, I like that. I like that. People definitely need a plan. I do believe that. I think, sometimes our emotions take over, and your planning is better anyways, right? When you have a plan A, B, C, it always helps. There are two sort of, talk more in terms of that last point you mentioned, right? What if you choose not to go? How can people contribute to the diaspora wherever they are, or to Nepal? What's a way that you're seeing more and more?
So pretty easy. One of the first things I think we need to do now, I call it a diaspora in the making. I call the Nepalese diaspora as a diaspora in the making, because we still are not that mature or not that strong. And unlike Chinese, Indian, and some other diaspora, which are also called the old diaspora, we are brand new kid in the block. So our rise has been very rapid in terms of number, education, and the potential. We need a lot of homework among ourselves in terms of our capacity mapping, in terms of organizations, in terms of training, in terms of really knowing, having the information and having the knowledge. So this is one of that small contribution that I try to make whenever I have belonged to Association of Nepalese in America. That's actually the oldest Nepalese association here in the US and Canada. And so every time there's a meeting, by the way, the next one is in Denver, Colorado, July 1st weekend. We usually do a Nepal forum, and then I usually kind of organize something about diaspora, and then I also publish all the proceedings, because that's one way that you can connect a lot of people that come to diaspora and then understand their own strength. So I would advise that.